What if I told you that the biggest power play in football right now isn't happening on the field, but quietly behind closed doors? Because according to league insiders, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is secretly executing a plan to do something no one expected: steal away the NFL's most electric rookie quarterback from the Cleveland Browns. And this isn't your typical trade rumor. No press leaks, no accidental tweets, just whispers, midnight meetings, and a shockingly well-orchestrated backdoor campaign being run outside the official channels. It allegedly started after a primetime Browns game, where Sanders, Cleveland's breakout rookie QB, put on a jaw-dropping performance. Jones didn't just watch from the sidelines. He rewatched Sanders' highlights over and over, reportedly becoming emotionally locked in on acquiring him at all costs. Within hours, the Cowboys' top decision-makers were pulled into an unscheduled late-night meeting. One command came down from Jerry himself: "Whatever it takes, get me in contact with his camp." Since then, shadow communication has supposedly ramped up between Jones's inner circle and Sanders' representatives, with both organizations denying everything. But behind that silence, a chessboard is being set for a move that could rewrite the next decade of pro football. And here's the wildest part: this move isn't just about talent. For Jerry Jones, it's about cementing a legacy, seizing the moment, and making one final gamble for greatness. And as crazy as it sounds, it might actually happen. So what's really going on behind the scenes? And why is Jerry Jones willing to risk everything for a rookie? Let's break it down. It started with one game. Cleveland was in prime time, the national stage. And despite the roster chaos, locker room distractions, and questionable coaching decisions, Sanders showed up like a star was being born in real time. Electric arm, pocket awareness, crazy poise for a rookie. He didn't just play well, he lit it up. Jerry Jones was watching, and what happened next surprised even those closest to him. Sources say Jones became visibly emotional during the broadcast, not because of the game itself, but because of what Sanders reminded him of: that rare mix of natural playmaking and swagger. The kind of magic the Cowboys haven't truly had under center since the golden era. Later that night, Jones reportedly demanded access to replays. He sat alone, watching clips of Sanders on loop until well past midnight. The owner of one of the most iconic franchises in sports, sitting quietly in the dark, replaying throws from a kid who wasn't even on his team. That's when things escalated. Without warning, Jones cleared the Cowboys' executive suite. Security protocols increased, and a small group of hand-picked advisors was summoned for a closed-door meeting that lasted into the early hours of the morning. Only one objective was laid on the table: make contact with Sanders' camp, immediately, quietly, and without leaving a trail. And just like that, what started as a highlight reel became a mission. This wasn't about curiosity. It was about conviction. From that point forward, Jones wasn't asking if they could get Sanders. He wanted to know how. The obsession had begun, and it wasn't going away anytime soon. But Jerry knew this had to be handled carefully. The NFL doesn't take kindly to back-channel deals, especially when they involve someone else's franchise quarterback. And that's where things start to get risky. Jerry Jones is no stranger to bending the rules, but this time he wasn't taking any chances. Everyone around him was given the same message: this doesn't go through normal channels. No emails, no calls from official Cowboys lines, no conversations that couldn't be denied later. If a leak came out, the entire deal could crash before it even began. So instead of initiating trade talks through the league office, Jones reportedly activated his inner circle, trusted allies he's worked with for decades. These weren't your average executives. These were Jones' personal fixers, people who knew how to navigate shady territory without leaving fingerprints. According to multiple insiders, communication with Sanders' camp was already underway within days of that primetime performance. But it wasn't GMs talking. It wasn't agents. It was intermediaries, people with personal relationships acting under the radar. Quiet dinners, private phone numbers, messages exchanged through mutual contacts. And while both the Cowboys and Browns continue to publicly deny any serious trade conversations, those close to the situation say otherwise. In fact, Cleveland's front office reportedly believes Jones is only mildly interested. They don't realize he's already crafting a full-blown acquisition strategy behind the scenes. The reason for the secrecy? One word: tampering. The NFL has strict rules about contacting players or their reps while they're under contract. Violating them can mean multi-million-dollar fines, lost draft picks, and massive PR blowback. So Jones did what he does best. He found the gray area. By filtering everything through third parties, he gave himself plausible deniability. No paper trail, no direct link, just long, calculated conversations happening in the background while the league watched the wrong hand. And make no mistake, while fans debated mock trades on Twitter, Jerry was building the real thing. But Dak Prescott? He had no idea any of this was happening. While Jerry Jones was paving secret tunnels to Sanders' camp, one man remained completely out of the loop: Dak Prescott. The quarterback who's been the face of the franchise for nearly a decade had no idea what was unfolding behind his back. As the front office quietly pursued their next big thing, Dak was busy recovering from injury, focused on rehab, film breakdowns, and holding the team together through preseason drama. On the surface, the Cowboys continued to show public support for their star quarterback. Press conferences sounded the same. Coaches praised his leadership, teammates talked chemistry, and ownership stood behind him, at least in front of the cameras. But behind the scenes, a totally different story. Sources say Cowboys leadership made a conscious decision to compartmentalize the situation. Keep Dak in the dark at all costs. The fewer people who knew, the harder it would be for the story to leak. And maybe, just maybe, it would soften the fallout later if things didn't go through. Even inside the coaching staff, opinions were split. The offensive coordinator is reportedly thrilled by the idea of coaching a young, dual-threat QB like Sanders, the kind of player you can build an entire system around. A fresh start, a new spark. But the head coach? He's worried. Pulling off a move this big, without telling your current QB, risks blowing up the locker room. It turns off-season planning into chaos. It sends a message: no one is safe. No matter how long they've been in the building or how many records they've broken. And Jones? He doesn't care. He's operating in a world of his own, where emotions, legacy, and brand power outweigh traditional team-building logic. Dak may be the current quarterback, but Sanders is already living rent-free inside Jerry's mind. And that's when the strategy took a sharp turn. From football to business. To most teams, a player like Sanders would be evaluated strictly on tape. Arm strength, footwork, decision-making. But to Jerry Jones, this isn't about scouting. This is about empire building. From the moment Sanders hit the national radar, Jones didn't just see a quarterback, he saw a brand, a media figure, a modern-day superstar who could sell jerseys across 6 continents and turn the Cowboys into more than just America's team. Sources close to the situation say Jones sees Sanders as a once-in-a-generation marketing weapon. Not since the early days of Tony Romo or even Troy Aikman has a player had this kind of cultural magnetism before even becoming a household NFL name. Behind closed doors, Cowboys financial analysts reportedly ran projections. Merchandising? Through the roof. Sponsorship demand? Spiking before the deal even materialized. Global marketing partnerships? Practically knocking on the door. One internal estimate claimed that pairing Sanders with the Cowboys brand could result in 9 figures of revenue over his rookie contract alone. This isn't theoretical. Cowboys execs are allegedly already drafting activation plans, YouTube series, social media campaigns, and even team-wide image rebranding centered around Sanders' charisma. Jones isn't just chasing wins anymore. He's chasing a legacy where football success and commercial power collide. And Sanders might be his ticket, not just to a Lombardi trophy, but to something even bigger, a second dynasty, on the field and in the business world. But as Jones was drawing up his next global superstar rollout, Cleveland was dealing with something very different: total internal chaos. While Jerry Jones was quietly drawing up his next empire move, the Cleveland Browns were fighting battles of their own. Not on the field, but inside their own building. Behind the scenes, Browns leadership is divided, almost fractured. And at the center of it all is Sanders, the rookie phenom who's become more than just a quarterback. He's a symbol, a brand, a walking marketing campaign. And that's the problem. According to reports, some within the coaching staff are ringing alarm bells. They believe the organization is losing focus, prioritizing Sanders' commercial appeal over his actual football development. The head coach is reportedly navigating a near-impossible situation, trying to groom a future franchise quarterback while ownership drools over jersey sales and TikTok views. One insider described it like this: half the building wants to win with him, the other half wants to cash in on him. Things have gotten so tense that some coaches now quietly support the idea of a trade. Not because they want to see Sanders go, but because it could relieve the growing internal pressure that's pulling the team in two very different directions. And then there's Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner. Sources claim he's taken an unusually hands-on role in Sanders' situation. From player evaluations to media messaging, Haslam is reportedly micromanaging decisions that should be left to football operations. That's only added fuel to the fire inside a staff already feeling boxed out by the business side. Some believe the tipping point is dangerously close. If Cleveland receives a massive offer, let's say multiple firsts, a defensive starter, and sweeteners, people inside the building might push for the deal just to make the problem go away. And just when things couldn't get more complicated, an old friend of Jerry Jones suddenly entered the chat. If there's one name that can open any door in Dallas, it's Deion Sanders, a Cowboys legend, a Hall of Famer, and now the father of the most talked about rookie in the NFL. And while the media speculates and GMs posture, sources say there's one relationship quietly powering everything behind the scenes. Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders go way back, decades. Their relationship isn't corporate, it's personal. One built on mutual respect, loyalty, and shared history. Deion helped define the Cowboys' golden era. Jerry never forgot that. And now, it's that very connection that might be keeping the deal alive when conventional routes would have shut it down. Reports suggest Deion has had direct, private conversations with Jones as this situation has unfolded. Not in any official capacity, of course, but as two old friends catching up. Friends who just happen to hold the keys to one of the biggest power moves in years. Insiders believe Deion has acted as an unofficial bridge, passing along insight, smoothing communication, and making sure any potential deal feels less like business and more like family. That back channel might be the single reason Jones still believes this can happen, even with all the league scrutiny, organizational resistance, and PR landmines. Because with Deion in the mix, this isn't Jerry Jones trying to poach someone else's quarterback. It's Jerry reconnecting with a legend and offering the next generation a chance to build his own legacy in the same jersey. And according to people close to Sanders, the young quarterback is intrigued. As the drama keeps swirling in Cleveland, the idea of suiting up for the Cowboys next to the very star his father once made shine isn't lost on him. But it wasn't just nostalgia driving the Cowboys forward. What came next was straight business. If Jerry Jones is gonna pull this off, he knows it won't come cheap. We're not talking about your standard first-round pick and a depth player. League insiders say the trade conversations, quiet as they've been, are already shaping up to be one of the biggest compensation packages in NFL history. The numbers floating around are staggering. 2 first-round picks up front, a proven starting defensive player, plus additional performance-related incentives. All that just to get a rookie. But the Cowboys aren't blinking. Jones reportedly told his closest advisors, forget traditional valuation. Sanders isn't a regular rookie. He's a franchise reset button. That mindset is changing everything. While most GMs would walk away from the table, Jones is throwing the whole blueprint out the window. He sees an opportunity not to rebuild the Cowboys, but to redefine them. Financially, the team's internal projections factor in more than interceptions or TDs. They're talking about global impact, merchandise sales, brand partnerships, media content rights, and even international expansion potential, all tied to one player's arrival. Cleveland, meanwhile, is watching all this unfold with growing uncertainty. Sources indicate some high-level Browns execs are seriously considering the proposal, not just for the value, but for the relief. The locker room pressure, the organizational infighting, ... They're breaking down his rollout tendencies, his scrambling patterns, his deep ball timing, all because if this trade goes through, the Eagles know their path to the NFC title just got a lot more complicated. The Giants are reacting too. Executives there are reportedly scouting mobile quarterbacks in the trade market, not out of need, but out of fear. If the Cowboys land Sanders, the entire identity of the NFC East changes overnight. And Washington, they're not waiting either. Insiders say the Commanders have accelerated their defensive personnel scouting, specifically targeting sideline-to-sideline speed that could be used to contain a dual-threat quarterback like Sanders. But it's not just divisional enemies taking notice. Across the league, rival owners are watching this unfold with growing frustration. They know the power dynamic in the NFL is already tilted, but if Jerry Jones adds a generational quarterback and a market-dominating star, that balance might tip too far. Privately, members of the league's competition committee have raised concerns about tampering, wealth gaps, and the possibility of franchise owners using unchecked resources to hijack emerging talent. But so far, the league has stayed silent, which might be exactly what Jerry Jones is counting on. Because while the NFL holds its breath, he's planning something so big it won't just change a team, it'll shake the business of football itself. What Jerry Jones is chasing isn't just a championship, it's a global spectacle. Inside the Cowboys front office, the tone has reportedly shifted. This is no longer about adding a rookie quarterback. It's about launching a global brand expansion with Sanders as the face of it all. Marketing execs are treating this like a corporate acquisition. There are planning documents, brand playbooks, even mock digital campaigns, all built around the what-if of Sanders landing in Dallas. And they're not thinking small. They're talking about international jersey sales, global sponsorships tied directly to Sanders, name TV partnerships targeting European and Latin American markets, even content deals across social platforms and streaming giants. Keep in mind, this is before a single snap has been taken in a Cowboys jersey. One internal Cowboys projection suggested that with Sanders as the centerpiece, the franchise could generate 9-figure returns over the next 5 years, just in media and merchandise. Not wins, not stats, just presence. League insiders say tech giants and fashion brands are already sniffing around, asking questions about activation opportunities tied to a Sanders-Cowboys union. Some have even started building mock concepts for collaborations without knowing if the trade is even going to happen. That's how powerful this potential pairing is. It's no longer about football value. It's about cultural value. And this is why Jerry Jones is willing to throw the playbook out the window. Because for him, this trade isn't just about beating the Eagles or winning the NFC. It's about rewriting what's possible for an NFL franchise. turning the Cowboys into a marketing empire that dominates not just Sundays, but the global spotlight 24/7. And yet, just as Jones was looking to the future, Cleveland was fighting to hold things together. For Jerry Jones, this isn't just about winning games. It's about how he'll be remembered. Sources close to the Cowboys say the 81-year-old owner has become more reflective in recent years, rewatching old championship footage, revisiting past press clippings, even rereading headlines from the dynasty days. Not the business wins, the football ones. He remembers what it felt like to prove everyone wrong. And now, with time running out, he sees Sanders as more than a player. He sees him as a legacy move, a chance to go all in one final time and leave the Cowboys not just as a profitable empire, but as champions again. Insiders call it his capstone moment. It's not just about adding a quarterback. It's about adding a storybook ending. And if it means breaking the rules, outpaying rivals, or risking the future of the franchise, so be it. Because for Jerry Jones, this may be his last shot at glory. Publicly, the Cowboys and Browns say nothing's happening. No calls, no meetings, just rumors. But behind the silence, something big is moving. Jerry Jones is executing a plan as bold as it is risky, one that could either build a new Cowboys dynasty or blow everything up. He's betting it all, picks, players, reputation, on a rookie quarterback who hasn't played a full season, but carries the weight of a movement. Sanders isn't just the NFL's next big thing. He's a symbol of where the league is headed. Part athlete, part icon, part media machine. And if Jerry pulls this off, it won't just shift the Cowboys' future. It could reshape the NFL's power structure entirely. This may go down as one of the biggest what-if moments in sports history. Or it may become the move that redefines how we judge success, not by wins alone, but by impact on and off the field. The question is this Jerry's final masterstroke, or the gamble that costs him everything? Let us know in the comments. Genius or madness? Because one thing's for sure, this story is far from over.